Okay, thank you, Dr. Han. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So hi everyone, this is Yuhan Kang. Thank you for attending today's presentation. So I'm currently a fourth-year PhD student at Dr. Zhu Han's group in University of Houston. So the title of today's presentation is the role of ChatGPT in advancing academic research. So basically, I will introduce my presentation into these four sections. First, I want to give a brief introduction about ChatGPT and introduce what is GPT and what is the development history of ChatGPT. And then I will introduce how does ChatGPT influences our academic research. And then I will show some future directions of ChatGPT and maybe some applications. And finally, I will conclude today's presentation. So what is ChatGPT? So we all know that ChatGPT has been really a hot topic recently. So basically, it's a language model. Sorry, let me remove text bar. So basically, it's a language model developed by OpenAI, which is named the Generative Pre-trained Transformer named GPT. So basically, it can generate some human-like responses to a wide range of questions and promotes. For example, below in this figure, it shows some characteristics of ChatGPT. For example, it compared with traditional language model, it dares to ask questions, and also we can we can have a continuous dialogue with it, and also sometimes it will admit its limits. For example, if I ask some questions, for example, who am I, or some very private information that it definitely does not know, and then it will admit its limits. And also, on the other hand, can understand the contextual. For example, if I input a code to it without telling the ChatGPT what the code is about, then the ChatGPT will read the code and give me some information. Maybe it can tell what the code is about. Yeah, so basically here are some characteristics of ChatGPT. So why ChatGPT works? So basically there are two main techniques that ChatGPT utilized compared with traditional language model. The first one is called the attention mechanism. So since ChatGPT is a language model and utilizes the transformer as its neural networks architecture, so the transformer model was developed in, if I remember right, it was developed in 2017. So basically, the transformer utilizes a mechanism, a self-attention mechanism that can, to tell which part of an image is more important than the others. For example, as you can see in this figure, there's a woman. So the ChatGPT can tell us that there's a woman in this figure that is throwing a frisbee in the park. So by doing the self-attention mechanism, the transformer can know that the woman in this figure is the main part of this figure and should be paid more attention than the other part in this figure. So this is called the self-attention mechanism. So for more details of such attention mechanism, you can refer to this paper named image transformer, which was published in SAML in 2018. Yeah, so another trick or say technique that are used in ChatGPT is named the reinforcement learning from human feedback, named RLHF. So basically, it's not a reinforcement learning architecture, meaning that the ChatGPT does not develop reinforcement learning neural network in it. Here, the reinforcement learning is just how the transformer was trained. For example, so for example, the OpenAI hired, if I remember right, OpenAI hired 2,000 humans that they can label the outputs of the transformer. Then they can, for example, if the transformer output generates 4 outputs, D, C, A, and B, then the human will give the rank of these four outputs and to give the feedback to the transformer. Then the transformer will be updated iteratively until a very high performance is achieved. Yeah, this RLHF is only introduce how the transformer was trained. Yeah, so basically here's the development history of ChatGPT. So in 2018, the first version, GPT-1, was announced that it has 170 million parameters trained on some web text. And then in 2019, the GPT-2 was announced with 1.5 billion parameters trained on web text, books, and articles, followed by the GPT-3. It has 175 billion parameters trained on even more big datasets. Then the Instruct GPT, which is a fine-tuned new version of GPT-3 that minimizes the harmful or some biased outputs of GPT-3. And finally, the ChatGPT-4 is announced in 2022. So here, compared with the Instruct GPT, it utilizes the RLHF, which is what I have discussed in previous slides. So basically, it utilizes the RLHF to generate generate human-like text at very high performance. Yeah, so basically, this is a development history of ChatGPT. So what can ChatGPT do? So basically, here is just few applications of ChatGPT. ChatGPT. So basically, it can handle many specific topics. For example, it can make up a fairy story. It can help us debug a code or write a code or translate the language for us, or write a research report or the abstract or some technique part of a report, or even it can translate a Python code into C++. So I will discuss more detailed applications in later slides. So yeah, so since I have introduced some applications of ChatGPT, it turns out that it really has a great influence, no matter on our daily life or on the marketing. So in these two figures, so in the left figure, it shows the growth rate of ChatGPT's daily active users. We can find that the blue line represents ChatGPT and the yellow one represents the Instagram. We can find that the growth rate of ChatGPT is much higher than the Instagram. So actually, it took OpenAI 2 months to have more than 100 million users, while the TikTok takes 9 months and Twitter takes 90 months. So yeah, the growth rate of ChatGPT and OpenAI is really high. So actually, the invention of ChatGPT imposes a threat to other artificial intelligence companies in the world. For example, Google has invested $300 million into the invention of Anthropic, which is a competitor product of ChatGPT. And also Microsoft is the is the company that invents the ChatGPT. So it has already applied ChatGPT to improve its product competitiveness. For example, the Word, the PowerPoint, Excel, its Microsoft team, and so on. And also Amazon also applies some ChatGPT functions in various of its job functions. And also Baidu. So you may know that Baidu is a very famous AI company in China. So Baidu has already invented its own ChatGPT product named Wenxin Yiyan, the Ernie Bot. And it says that it will be open to the public by the end of 2023. Yeah, and also Tencent has already also announced human-machine conversion patents and so on. Yeah, here are just some news about ChatGPT on marketing. For example, Google injected 300 million into ChatGPT's companion product at the Anthropic. So it turns out that here the co-founder of Anthropic was the vice president of research and OpenAI, and he seems that he has some disagreement on the future direction of ChatGPT. Then he quit OpenAI, and now he becomes a president of research at Google. That's interesting. And also Google, on the other hand, Google also has announced another product named Chatbot Cloud, and it will be open to the public soon. And Google claims that the Chatbot Cloud can rival ChatGPT and have comparable performance with the ChatGPT. So then the ChatGPT with Microsoft. So it turns out that the Microsoft has already integrated the ChatGPT into the Bing search engine, the Office Family Bucket, the Azure Cloud Service, Teams program, and so on. So it recently announced the launch of the new version of Microsoft Teams, which is the Microsoft Teams Premium. So subscribers can utilize the ChatGPT to automatically generate some meeting notes or making meeting summaries and so on. So such a Microsoft Teams Premium maybe can promote the efficiency of our work and save lots of time. Yeah, and also for the Excel. So basically, now there's no specific products that integrate ChatGPT with Excel, but actually ChatGPT can generate a CSV file and by utilizing some Python code. And then after I ask the ChatGPT to generate an Excel file for me, then by utilizing the code that it provided, I can generate a Excel file look like this one. It's very convenient for us. If we are about to to generate some to analyze a large data set or something, then we can utilize such Excel function. Yeah. So and also the ChatGPT with Microsoft the Bing. So we know that the Microsoft integrates the ChatGPT into the Bing search engine. So I have tried it like today. So basically it's very interesting. So there's an AI in the Bing searching engine. And then, for example, I asked the AI to, for example, I need to throw a dinner party for 6 people who don't eat nuts or seafood. So and ask the ChatGPT to suggest a 3-course menu. Then it gave me some menus, for example, gluten-free bread, some potatoes and beans. And then I have a follow-up questions. So I have already ordered the potatoes. Can you make the main menu use that? And then it gave me a new menus based on my follow-up questions. So this example shows that the ChatGPT or the Bing search, new version of Bing search, can actually have continuous conversations with us, and we can ask more and more specific questions based on the answers of ChatGPT. Okay, so about the next is a ChatGPT with Amazon. So actually ChatGPT has already been used in Amazon for a variety of different job functions. For example, it can help the Amazon to answer interview questions or write some software code or create some training documents and so on. So you may be familiar with Amazon's cloud service named the Amazon Web Service AWS. So actually, Amazon's AWS has already formed a small working group to investigate the impact of ChatGPT on its business. So I believe that maybe at the end of this year, we can have more convenient AWS service. Yeah, and also ChatGPT on marketing. So here's an example that ChatGPT has a great commercial potential. So I'm not sure whether you are familiar with this, with Jasper, which is an automatic copywriting platform. So whose underlying technique is OpenAI's GPT-3. It's not ChatGPT, but an older version, the GPT-3. However, it has already reached a very high marketing valuation of $1.5 billion only after 18 months of its establishment. Yeah, but it's not free, by the way. Okay, so also for Baidu and Tencent, so Baidu has already announced its own ChatGPT-like product the 明星一言 the earning vote, so which they announced that it will be open to the public at March, and also Tencent has really released relevant patents on AI language models, and also they plan to invent the ChatGPT-like product at the end of this year. So we can find that ChatGPT has really a great influence on marketing, has really a high marketing potential. However, how does ChatGPT influences our academic research? So basically, in the following section, I will introduce the positive impacts and the negative impacts of ChatGPT. Yeah, so since ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence model, and it can incredibly improve our working efficiency and saving our time for our academic research. Here are just few examples that what ChatGPT can help us. For example, it can help us to generate proposals or generate summaries or even entire papers. If you want the ChatGPT to generate a LaTeX code, it can generate LaTeX code for your papers. And also on the other hand, it can help to check the format of our paper or check the grammar of our paper, and also can help to polish a paragraph or rephrase a paragraph to to reduce our similarity score. Yeah, so below are some. Next, I will do some specific applications of ChatGPT on our academic research work. The first application is that it can help to generate a book proposal. So yeah, so recently I've been preparing a book proposal related to AI and some games theory. So ask ChatGPT, what can you write a stranger proposal related to AI and game theory? So it gives me a proposal template. So I can try, which includes the title, the book overview, the outline, some chapters. So it turns out that the chapters like the game theory, the evolutionary game, the reinforcement learning is very similar as what I did, what I wrote in our proposal. And also since the proposal is word text, is not in the LaTeX code, and ask, can you prepare such proposal in a LaTeX template? Surprisingly, it can give me some LaTeX code, and I have tested this code into the overleaf, and it is correct. It is, yeah, it can give me very formal PDF. And also the application tool of the ChatGPT is the writing assistance. For example, I can ask it to rephrase my abstract to reduce the similarity score. So I ask, can you help to rephrase my abstract? And then I input my abstract, and then it can rephrase my abstract. Yeah, and it's pretty cool. And also it can help to polish a paragraph. If I think some paragraphs in my paper is poorly written, then I can ask the ChatGPT to polish my paragraph. And it turns out that the output of the ChatGPT is very is in good logics and with no grammar error, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, let me add two things. Okay, go to previous slide. Okay, yeah. On the left, okay, it's very good for this kind of, after you publish a conference, you want to go to a journal, sometimes, okay, some places like a reference part, a lot of kind of similarity, right? And on the left, you can do the rephrase. And on the right, okay, when you polish a paragraph, pay attention. Sometimes, okay, this ChatGPT, because it was trained by this human, okay. So sometimes when you rephrase it, even the logic is right, but sometimes they give some kind of a very subjective word with some kind of feeling, that this word is not objective, it's a kind of subjective with a human interaction. That in this case, okay, we need to rephrase it, try to change, because in technical writing, okay, everything should be objective, no feeling, okay, no human feeling. That's some more comment. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so Also, the ChatGPT can help us to check our grammar. So if we input some parts of our paper, then it will check the grammar of the paper and output the corrected version. Yeah, it turns out that ChatGPT can really help us to improve our written efficiency. And also the third application is that it can help us to generate the literature review. So previously, one of my previous works was about the data augmentation in machine learning. Since I'm not very familiar with data augmentation, so then it takes me a lot of time to do the literature review process. However, yesterday I tested that I asked ChatGPT to that, can you show the literature review of data augmentation in machine learning? Surprisingly, it can list many papers that are related to the data augmentation. It turns out that these papers are just the papers that I wrote in my conference paper. Yeah, it's amazing. And also, since these are just the literature review, and another example is about the literature review of the natural language processing, and also it can also give me some information, some useful information. Yeah, since these are just some yeah.
Let me add one thing, okay. For this part, okay, the good thing, bad thing, okay. The good thing is that, okay, you can easily get this kind of current state of art. The bad thing is that, okay, this will cause this 马太效应, okay. The so-called, I don't know how, Matthew effect. In other words, only a few paper will get billions of citations. The other, the AI will probably blend to the other paper. So I would suggest that, okay, maybe when you study these new things, okay, you can use this one, try to study the key paper. But when you really write the paper beyond this one, you have to add some kind of other that you read by yourself. You cannot say, okay, I just put the literature review and then, okay, put several papers there. And this will cause a long-term problem. And yeah, this is my point.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Han. Yeah.
Mm -hmm.
Yeah, and also another positive impact of ChatGPT is the generation of citation. So then I asked ChatGPT a follow-up question like, can you generate the citation of all the above papers? And then it shows the citation of the papers that you just talk about, like this one. However, I found that the format of the citation is not what I want. What I want is the text citation code. Then I ask, can you generate the text citation code for those papers? And then it gives me the LaTeX codes, and I can put these codes into the LaTeX, the overlay. Yeah, it's very efficient for us. And also the fifth application is the coding and debug. So this is a very interesting example. So previously, I had a project that is about implementing a reinforcement learning project for very high dimensional continuous action space. And since at that time, ChatGPT hasn't been announced, and I can only search on the maybe Google Scholar to find some related papers. And since I'm not familiar with reinforcement algorithms at that time, and I do not know which reinforcement algorithms are suitable for me, then I spent like 2 weeks to find a proper algorithms. So, however, here I asked ChatGPT to tell what algorithms are suitable. Then it tells me the DDPG, maybe DDPG, the triple, the SAC, and TD3 are suitable for my problems. And these are just the problems that I have tried during my research work. However, this is very consuming since there are many algorithms, and I do not know which one can perform better for my own problems. Then I spent another 2 weeks to test the performance of these 4 algorithms. And actually, if I ask a ChatGPT for those above machine RL algorithms, which one has better performance, and it answered that it's difficult to say which RL algorithms has the better performance. However, it shows that some recent research tell that the SAC has the better performance compared with the other algorithms. So actually, I have tested SAC, and in terms of SAC, did give me the best performance for my own problem. Yeah, this is pretty cool. If I can use the ChatGPT at that time, it can help me to save lots of time, I think. Yeah, and also since I have to continue my project, then I have to to run the code by myself, and I do not know how to run the code. Then I ask the ChatGPT to show the code of SAC algorithms, and it shows me the code. And I actually test this code in my computer, and turns out this code works pretty well. And since these codes are designed for this specific test, the health cheetah test, and then I asked, in the code you provide where I should revise to fit for my own environment rather than the health cheetah. So surprisingly, the ChatGPT can tell which parameters or which vectors, which variables I should change in the code, like the env, or how I should change the state dimension and action dimension in the code, and how I should modify the select action method in the code. It can gives me very specific instructions on how to revise the code. Yeah, it's amazing, I think. Especially it's very friendly for those students who are not very familiar with Python or like RL algorithms. Yeah. So the other applications of the coding and debugging is that can help to debug our code. For example, if I input a code with lots of errors to this ChatGPT, then it can, I did not tell the ChatGPT what my code is about. Then surprisingly, the ChatGPT can tell what my code is about and then give me a corrected version. Yeah, and also it can be utilized for code conversion. If I input a Python code and ask it to convert to a C++ code, surprisingly it can do that, and I have tested the code and it's correct. Yeah, and also we can for visualization. So sometimes in our papers, rather than the experiment simulation, we also have to show some visualization results, right? So ChatGPT can also be served as a visualization tool. For example, I asked ChatGPT to generate a CSV file, as I have introduced before. It can give me some Python code utilized in the pandas library and show the Excel file. And also I can ask the ChatGPT to plot a MATLAB figure for me so that it can output the MATLAB code. And I have this is what the MATLAB code gives me, which is a figure that is generated by this data in the Excel file. Yeah, just like I said, if we can, utilize the ChatGPT into our simulations or code or visualization simulations, it can sometimes save us a lot of time, I think. Here, the sixth application is a paper quality control. For example, we can ask the ChatGPT to check the format style of our paper. Right now, it cannot, let's say we input a PDF, it can tell whether the PDF is in the right format. Right now, it can only gives us some suggestions like what is the format style guidelines, what is format style for the IE journal or something. So, but I believe in the future, the ChatGPT can can accept much more different inputs. For example, a figure, or Excel file, or a PDF, or an image. Then we can output some useful information about the input. Yeah. And also I asked ChatGPT to check if there are some typos of my papers, and then it can give me a corrected version. Yeah. And so another applications of ChatGPT on our academic research is that can promote collaboration. For example, sometimes we will need to collaborate with other research groups for some specific research works. So if so, the ChatGPT can be served as a collaboration platform, which that enable us to communicate and share information in real time. And also, if the research groups are from different countries and the researchers speak in different languages, then the ChatGPT can translate text from one language to another for international research groups. And also, if we utilize ChatGPT to the Microsoft Teams, we can utilize ChatGPT to automatically generate the meeting summaries or meeting notes for us. Yeah, this would be very helpful to our collaboration. And so another application of ChatGPT would be the data analysis. It's because it is artificial intelligence model. If in the future it can be integrated with other artificial intelligence networks, then it can, if sometimes we have a very large data set, or we have a data set that is difficult to understand, then we can, just simply ask ChatGPT, can you analyze such data set for us and maybe show some figures or graphs for visualization? And then it will give us some useful information. For example, I ask ChatGPT to analyze the amnist data set, and then it gave me some information about amnist regarding the number of samples, the class, the pixels, and ratio or something. And then it gives me a Python code to visualize the data. Yeah, and it's very useful if we are not familiar with data analysis, or if the data sets are is large and difficult to analyze. Yeah. Okay, so turns out that since actually indeed that the ChatGPT can be very helpful to our academic research, it turns out that it has some negative impacts. For example, as any artificial intelligence language model, ChatGPT can also be biased if it was trained on some biased data. And also, since it is just a machine, it's not a human. If we want to know some knowledge about some specific field, for example, the robotics or some genes, it will lack knowledge of that, and sometimes it can generate inaccurate or irrelevant response regarding to our questions. And also, if some bad guys want to utilize ChatGPT for some, to generate some fake news or to cheat or to, to the paper like artificial intelligence plagiarism, it would be bad for us, right? And also, if we keep doing our research with the help of ChatGPT, sometimes we may be become very over reliant on the artificial intelligence, and it is not good for our critical thinking. And also, since ChatGPT is not a machine, if we keep doing research with it, we should like the human interaction, which means that, so sometimes if we keep if we collaborate with other research groups, sometimes by discussing with others, we can generate some pretty good ideas and produce high quality research papers. But if we keep doing our research with GPT, we can never make progress, right? Okay, it turns out that since ChatGPT has really been a hot topic recently, and some authors, some students, and some researchers have utilized ChatGPT as an author in their papers. So this is bad, since ChatGPT should just be a tool for us, right? It should never be an author. So be careful. Many top conferences and journals has already banned the use of ChatGPT. For example, the Science has said that ChatGPT is fine, but not an author. And also Nature has published 2 articles discussing what ChatGPT can and generative artificial intelligence means for science. And also similarly, New York City Department of Education has already bans the use of ChatGPTs in their students' works. So be careful if you overuse the ChatGPT in your paper writing, you may be in a big trouble. Yeah, and to, since ChatGPT is artificial intelligence model, and there are some researchers working on a ChatGPT detector. These are just 3 tools that I use to detect whether the text is written by a human or written by an AI. So the zero GPT, the text classifier or the ChatGPT detector. So the accuracy of these detector models is very high. For example, the 98% of zero GPT. So actually, however, have tried the zero GPT yesterday. For example, I input article that was written by the ChatGPT in the right, as shown in the right figure, and can tell that my text is likely to be written entirely by AI. However, if I input an article that's written by myself, it tells that it's written by a human. Yeah, so be careful if like I said, if you keep using ChatGPT to in your paper, you may be in big trouble.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, can you go to previous slide? And I think now, okay, every time we publish, we have the similarity score. And very soon we will have this AI score. Yeah, and I think it should be very easy to implement in this publisher like the IEEE or something. And also, okay, even though you might take advantage that they are not implemented now, but if you get published anything with AI written one, then okay, it's just like a baby got born. It cannot take back. Okay. In the future, you will get significant trouble later. So the suggestion is that okay, you can use ChatGPT to help you do the research, but do not write paper with ChatGPT. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Han. So yeah, so in the next section, I would like to discuss the future of ChatGPT. So right now, the ChatGPT can only generate some text, right? However, the text is only a part of the artificial intelligence generated context named ARGC. So the AR technology can be utilized to automatically generate context such as the code generation, text query, the video, and image or something. So this is just a part of the AIGC, and I believe in the future, language model or some AI can be used to generate many different styles of context, such as the animation, the video, the movie, the image. Yeah, that would be pretty cool, I think. So another direction of ChatGPT would be the ChatGPT and movie.
Can go to oh yeah, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
It's already kind of the other AI model. You put a sentence, and then it's already can generate a kind of a drawing or a movie. Yeah, please, but it's not ChatGPT, it's the other AI model. Okay, it's
Yeah.
already there. Okay,
Thank
please
you,
go
Dr.
ahead.
Han. Yeah. So ChatGPT and movies. So I believe that many of you have watched these movies. For example, Hello, Li Huanying, or like the Wandering Earth, or Strange Things, or The Lawyer. So basically, if we utilize the AI language model, so sometimes we can use it to customize film and television content according to the interest of the public. So actually, so the Strange Things, which is a very interesting opera that in Netflix. So I have watched it. It's very interesting. So actually, this opera was generated based on the language model, and so I believe in 2016, Netflix hired a research group that to generate an opera script. So they generate the script. What is that generated? Is a Strange Things, which they include some aliens, some power, some like monsters. Yeah. So and turns out this script can have achieve a great success. Yeah, and also the ChatGPT plus movie can provide some new ideas for script creation, and which means that creators can filter and then reprocess the content generated by ChatGPT, and so as to inspire creators and develop their ideas, and so as I think if we keep asking the ChatGPT what our search would be and what is their advice, maybe they can inspire us, and we can sometimes have develop our own creative ideas based on their answers. Yeah, and also another future direction of ChatGPT would be the ChatGPT plus media. So it can help news media workers intelligently generate reports or automate some parts of the labor-intensive editing to save time. Or for example, in 2014, the QuickBot, which is another artificial intelligence model. So this is robot. This robot can write and publish the relevant information only 3 minutes after the Los Angeles earthquake. And also for the Wordsmith, which is a smart writing platform used by the Associated Press. So it can produce 2,000 stories per second. Yeah, this is amazing. So if we utilize, sometimes if we utilize the AI into the media field, then the publication would be less time consuming as previous. Yeah, and this is the summary of the future of ChatGPT. For example, we may produce text in a wider range of styles and genres. For example, we can generate slides. For example, if we actually this slide took me some time to prepare for this group meeting. If in the future I need to do the same thing, I can simply ask ChatGPT to can you help me to generate a group meeting slide that I can utilize in my group meeting presentation, which is about the ChatGPT. Then similarly, then I think it can give me exactly a PPT or slides, which can save a lot of time. And also,
then I will give a kind of ChatGPT the PhD degree. Okay, I'm just joking.
Okay, and for example, in the future, we may integrate the ChatGPT with other AI systems. For example, the reinforcement learning, the classifier, the federated learning, or something. And in the future, we can also improve the training data used to develop more advanced ChatGPT in the future. But be careful that we should, impose some limitations of the use ChatGPT. So, if some bad guy want to utilize the AI to do some bad things, we should stop them. Yeah, just like these movies that you may be familiar with, like Doraemon, the Arrow Man, and Jarvis. So we need those friendly and helpful artificial intelligence in the future, but be careful, we cannot let the AI to destroy our world. Okay, so finally, let me conclude today's presentation. So ChatGPT is a very powerful tool that has a great potential to revolutionize the way scholars approach academic research, and also by saving time and increasing our work efficiency, it can help scholars to focus on the most important aspect of our work. For example, to generate some creative ideas or some data analysis. So instead, then we can save our time, to focus on more important things. And also, but we should be careful of overusing ChatGPT and avoid some AI plagiarism. And as ChatGPT and other AI language models continue to evolve, it would be exciting to see how they will be applied in the field of our academic research and beyond in the future. So just like in those two figures shows, one figure shows ChatGPT, the AI is just a helping hand for us. The one is that we are manipulated by the AI. So we should never let the right figure happens. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. This is basically today's presentation. Please ask questions if you have. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Yuhan. Okay, for this well-prepared slide. Any questions from the audience?